I'm saying that separation is the best and only solution. I'm saying as a reminder to you that we must have a nation of our own.
How's everybody doing? Can everybody hear me in the room back here? Y'all hear me? Okay, good. This summit is about securing our future, clearly. And what we've noticed and recognized, we all know that we can't get together. But we don't, that's not part of my conversation. It's never been a part of my conversation of what we can't do. It's always been about what we can do, and here's how we're going to do it. People always talk about we have to have a conversation. Done with conversations, if we're going to conversate, we're going to deal with applicable solutions. This weekend is about supplying a blueprint from what W.E. Du Bois has talked about, a separate economic system, what Dr. Chancellor Williams talked about, what Dr. Amos Wilson talked about, Dr. Claude Anderson has talked about, Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu has talked about, and our Prophet Noble Drew Ali has talked about, right? So there may be some newcomers who aren't familiar with the Moors or just have a little aspect of what we are. I'm not going to talk about it. We're here to talk about economic security. I will touch on it, I'm sure, like anybody else will touch on it. This weekend we have an agenda. Let me run through your folders in the package. We have Saturday. This is your introduction to me and the summit. We have German Chanel coming up next. Kadawa Bay. We're going to do a break, and I have some food that'll be coming in about 1:32. Once it's done, it'll be up here for us. Trying to keep y'all kidnapped. We're going to lock your doors and we're going to do some business. All right, we got Tahaka Mina El Bay, and we have closing out is Abundance Child. Wait a minute, I missed somebody. I'm sorry. I missed my sister. Dara Bay, Jareel Bay, will be speaking also on Nationhood. I'm sorry, my apologies. And I also spelled Dr. Ali's name wrong. My apologies, brother. Also in your package, you should have 3 postcards maybe, or 1 big one. If you have 3, what I need you to do, and if you have a pen, the first one is so we can have your contact information. Your name, your address, email address, phone number, and where you're located at. I need your contact info, I need your primary information. I want to know, or we want to know, how did you hear about the summit? So when we get ready to move to phase 2, we can contact you directly, market directly to those folks in your area. So how did you hear about the summit? Your name, number, phone number, email address. Once you finish that, please pass it up. You don't have one? Well, if you don't have one, yeah, just 3 of them in there. You don't have one. If you don't have one, do you have notebook paper? Yeah. Take the notebook paper, use what you have. Please. The second one is to, when there's a speaker, a presenter, what I want you to do is this. If we have a sister speaking on nationhood, and she says some things, and you say, oh, I know what I can do to add on to that. Write this. Here's what you, not a full sentence. If you're saying, there's a person who has this land, or a person who has this information, write that on it. Don't use up the whole paper, because we have a few people speaking. So if the next presenter speaks on technology preservation, and you know something about IT, write your name or how it is to add to that information. Once we're done, pass that forward. The third card, or if you have to tear up and make another sheet, is to add on a question that you may not be able to get out. Write your question down, write your statement, your opinion, write it down so we know the next day and moving on to phase 2. So that you know, phase 2 is August 17th, right back in Jacksonville, Florida. We're gonna move forward, there's only gonna be 4 phases. What I want to talk about today is these dots right here. Dr. John Henry Clark said, we are people with, I'm sorry, excuse my typos, I have a lot of typos. So much with powerful potential, yet have so little power. We have so much potential, but we have no power. Power, meaning we don't control anything, we don't own anything. And what this summit is to do is to move us forward so that we can begin owning, controlling, rebuilding, and investing in communities. Our community, there's a difference. This is how we are now as more. We all scattered about. After the summit, we hope we can get like this. We can have some type of order. In order for an economic system to evolve, within a group, members of that group must choose to enter into an ongoing, organized, social relation of exchange. Dr. Amos Wilson. This is the goal. This is one of the goals. So once we're organized, we create a nucleus. What's that nucleus? That nucleus is our security, our economic security. Everything is built off of that. Anything, your school, your hospitals, wealth, inherited wealth, all of that be built off of this. What we do is, we had an opportunity from 11 to 12:30 to talk to each other. I don't know if you did it, to exchange information. We have people from all over the country. That's what these lines connected with each other is. Communication is key. We don't communicate, we don't find a common goal, we'll still be wondering. We'll still be like those first dots. And we all put into this particular nucleus. So the information right now is general. Power exists in a relationship. It has a primary location in the ongoing habitual ways in which human beings relate to one another. And that's one of the key elements of economics, how the human being reacts. These people deal in group, economics, family, all deal with groups. The Western side of the world deal with individuality. The Chinese, the Latinos, the Japanese, the Arabs. They all deal with group economics. You cannot go into Chinatown and see Abdullah from Sudan with a store. You can't go to a Jewish community and see Lee Wong with the pocketbook store in the Jewish community because they're closed off. They're only doing business with each other. They're circulating their dollars. But, and I'm not talking about the black community, I'm talking about Moors. And I'm not talking about neighborhoods, because we have to understand there's a difference between the neighborhoods and the community. The reason why people can't do that is because they're closed off and they won't allow it. But when you don't have an economic base, no one pays attention to you, they don't care about you, politicians shun you. But when you do have an economic base and you do have a voice that will secure or enforce what it is your true rights are, then they pay attention to you and they adhere to what you're saying. That's why these people have groups that deal with politicians, that deal internationally, but as more as a group. Remember, we're only talking about a group. I'm not talking about individuals, I'm talking about as a whole. We don't do that. We don't have a community. The objective here is to build a Moorish town. Several of them. Connect them. Then we have a syndicate. That's the whole objective. That's one of the objectives. But first we're going to start, we're going to have some explanation. Ownership and sovereignty. What do we own as a community? Anybody, what do we own? Do we own the temple? Do we own the temple? Anybody, this is a question. Do we own the temple? Yeah. Do we own the temple? I'm sorry, I can't get it. Allah owns the temple. Okay.
Yes, we own the temple.
Do we own the temple as a group?
own the temple as an individual.
Yes, do we? Okay, so everybody is part of this temple.
Right.
Everybody here part of the temple. Is that this is yes or no question? Come on, talk back to me now. Okay, do we own land as a people?
No. We own some land.
What'd you say, brother?
Some of us own land.
Okay. As a group, do we own land?
No.
Do we own a business?
No.
Do we own food?
No.
Do we make food?
No.
Do we manufacture? Do we produce? Do we distribute food?
No.
Do we own the government?
Yes.
We do.
Yes.
What's the name of the government?
The Moorish American government.
Is there another? What's the name of the government? Who say we own the government? Okay. Do you see the point? We have to be aggregated. We have to move as a unit. You can still have your ideology. You can still have whatever it is you want. But economically, business-wise, we have to move as one unit. It's real simple. It's not hard at all. This is not a foreign concept. But the fact that you guys came locally and out of town, you about to get it. I may hurt somebody's feelings, but this is what time it is. It's not intentional. And I'm not opinionated. It's all facts I'm going to be giving, and everybody else. People talk about consumer dependence. This is what we are. We are consumers, dependent, which are slaves. And this right here is just a line of how we spend our money. Billions. And you know, people talk about the consumer power. Now, like how Dr. Claude Anderson put it, it's hard to say that you have consumer power. There's no power in consuming, unless it's as a group. If this group said, we're going to buy 4 million acres in Ghana, then that's consumer power. But if this brother say, I'm going to get land in Georgia, I'm going to get land in Chicago, I'm going to get, and then everybody go like that, there's no power. But if we came together and purchased that land, put the businesses, put the homes, put the schools, put the hospitals, put the stores, put the gas station there, lock it down, you understand? That's power, that's being aggregated, that's being unified, literally.
You're watching MBTV. TV that cares.
$31 billion on cars and trucks, $3 billion on computer, consumer electronics, $4.5 billion, education, $71 billion, entertainment and leisure, $2.8 billion, food, $65, gifts, $3 billion, health, $23. I was trying to find books that I thought was interesting. I mastered on the first slide. Books, 289 million. Everything else, rims and gold shoes, is in the billions with the B. This is us as a whole. They say we are 12–13% of the United States, and we are 31% of the Scotch drinkers. See, stats and knowing how we got in position is the only way we're gonna know how to get out of position. Right? We know we walked through that door, so we know we can walk back out that door if we wanted to. But what we did is we walked in the door and was like, man, how to get up out of here? We got stuck. And you'll find out that in 148 years of so-called freedom from a physical plantation, we have not moved one iota. Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, that's individual power. Not even power, that's just their money. They aren't building communities. Okay, they aren't building schools for our children based on our curriculums. They're not doing that. You can go to school in Africa, but you're in Chicago. Okay. 55% of African Americans are unbanked or underbanked, meaning they do not have a bank account or an appropriate bank account. About a quarter of all Hispanics, 24%, and blacks, 24%, these are not my words, okay? Household in 2009 had no assets other than a bill, compared to 6% of white households. These percentages are little changed from 2005. The median income of black households reported saving a monthly basis is $189. Okay, over a month, Moors are only able to save $189 as a group, compared to $367 among white households. This is the first time in a decade that African American households have reported saving less than $200 a month. Here's the one I like. 93% of our income is spent outside of our community. 93% of our income is spent outside of our community. Okay, what was that number spending power? What was that, like 50 billion? I think women spend that on fees. I think like 90 billion, almost $1 trillion, right? Close to $1 trillion, they say. 93% of that is spent outside. So when you get that check, as soon as you get that check, because the dollar does not rotate in our community, not one time. This isn't Black Wall Street, where it rotated 28 times in the 20s. Not one. Some of us, when we get direct deposited, we have automatic money that comes out, and it goes straight to Sprint, right? Or the bill place. So you got 0.01. It doesn't make it. Blacks are, on the average, are 6 times more likely than whites to buy a Mercedes, and the average income of a black who buys a Jaguar is about 1/3 less than that of a white purchaser of an electric vehicle. Y'all know how it is. You can't afford it, then you buy it. Living beyond your means. We can even get into the fact of the business owners. Out of millions of business owners, over 24 million, I believe, we are 7% of that. So what we have to start thinking about is creating jobs, and that's what we're going to do. I can guarantee you, in 2 years, with these summits, they're going to go this month, August, back to this month, August, and that'll be the end. Then we'll go annually. 2 years, we'll have everything that we talked about if we work it. And everybody be a partner in this. No matter if you are from the empire, the temple empire, if you're El Bay Ali, El Bay Ali, El Bay Day, whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you come from, I'm guaranteeing, if we work, we can get this. This is easy. All you gotta do is do it. And I'm gonna lay out a plan, very simple, tomorrow. Owning and controlling resources. We don't. If these sisters spend all this money on weaves, people already said we should be owning the weave store. We should be locked in with India. And I'm sure, see, this is one of my ideas, concept. I know with all these Moors, we'll be like, oh, I know somebody that's what these postcards are for. Write that on there. If we want to go in the weave business. Or the all-natural business where sisters like Abundance Child make that stuff. Then we figure out a way to make it a national and international product. And we're all equitable owners in the product. Real simple. We don't produce, we don't manufacture, but this is the goal. For example, there's something called kit or kitting. When they build doors, for example, a company that build doors, and they say, well, we don't want to make the doorknobs. Well, guess what? We got a whole bunch of unemployed brothers and sisters. We will create an assembly line and put the doorknobs on there for you. You don't have to go to China. You come right into Jacksonville, Florida. That's if you want to do that. Now we create jobs and we own the business. Real simple. You just gotta want to do it. The labor force, that's what we are. Say for example, we're 12% of the nation and we are 7% of our people are unemployed or more. No pun intended. We could create, for example, a temp agency. So we will own the business and we'll be putting people to work. You know, we just start small. I don't know if you ever been, who's from Jacksonville? Anybody from Jacksonville? Okay, I need to get y'all information too. Let me know y'all from Jacksonville. There's a warehouse here in Jacksonville, Coach Warehouse. You're familiar with Coach? They make bags and pocketbooks. They have a 1 million square foot warehouse out by the airport, 1 million square feet. This warehouse distributes to 1/2 of the world, right here in Jacksonville. So the guy that actually is the CEO of that warehouse is a brother. Not the company, but the warehouse distributing aspect. He's the CEO of that particular part. The majority of the people there are Moors. But they all went through a company called Remedy. You see, that could have been us. We have to take our resources, what you know, put it on the table. And then we're gonna go through it, we're gonna go, okay, this is good, this is good, this is good. I mean, we're not gonna say this is good, but we're gonna go professionally and go over this stuff this weekend. This is gonna be a long summit, so I hope y'all in for it, because we're gonna work. The people that are gonna come up are elements of being an independent economic system. Okay? Redistribution of wealth.
You're watching MBTV. TV that's fun, entertaining, athletic, educational, and can inspire a world. That's MBTV. TV that cares.
We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.
Next up, my brother, from Jacksonville, Florida. Attended FAMU, also a technology whiz. I'll give it up for Germany, Shannon L.
How's the family? Good to have everybody in our city for a change. I know y'all heard a lot about Jacksonville, but it's like, what's coming to Jacksonville for, But the best kept jewels are most hidden, Jacksonville is a blessing. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I was born here in Jacksonville. Come from still raised in a 2-family parent home, which is a beautiful thing. I thank my father and my mother for staying together. Went to school on the north side, which is the black side of town. Went to school actually right up in Henry F. Kite. It's a little elementary school up the way, but in a nutshell, I wasn't taught properly at a very early age. I was diagnosed as a slow reader, which was my motivation to catch up and get ahead. Caught up in about a year or two, and was reading at a 7th grade level, probably in the 4th grade. From there, used to make all A's. My father was pissed off, because I come home with no homework. So he put me in this private school called the Bowles School, which is probably one of the top 10 high schools here in the country. And the experience that I gained at this school, which is not located, of course, in the north side, in the urban zone, it's on the other side, what they call across the ditch. But I'm not sure if y'all staying at the hotel, Best Western, you're not quite across the ditch. You're still on the other side of the ditch. And the ditch meaning, the St. Johns River, where the water is, pretty much nasty, and it says it's it's contaminated to a degree, but it's mainly because of just the industrial process, the urban renewal. But growing up, I've been going to school from 7th grade to 12th grade. And Bowles taught me a lot, being probably one of, I would say about 10 out of roughly about 2,000 students who were African American. I mastered European civilization, European history, European humanities, European English, everything. They taught us well. But at that school, we have the descendants, the sons and daughters of the first colonizers in Florida. And that school was meant for them. So as they're learning their language and culture and how to run civilization, I was learning how to be a victim or a slave within their civilization. And I brought that up because where I'm from, it takes us a while before we get it, that we are already wealthy. We're already rich. We're already knowledgeable. You know, we're industrious. Everything that we are proclaiming, we already have. So the reason you're here is because you already got what you're looking for. So don't come here looking for something new. Come here to look within and to, you know, embrace the power that you already have. So I want to start out by just saying that you are all wealthy. And I'd like everybody to say that. I am wealthy. I am wealthy. And maybe say it again. I am wealthy. That's what I'm talking about. Because see, we can't own what we can't claim. We can't own what we can't claim. And we can't claim what we don't know. Right? And that's our problem, because as the Bible says, you know, we shall all perish from a lack of knowledge. Hosea, what's that, 4 and 6, 6 and 4? I ain't no preacher there. But that's our problem. We've never looked at any of this as owning it because we didn't feel like we should be claiming it, because we never knew it was already ours to have. So the land, the government, governmental, the books, all of that stuff is what we're us running away and rebelling because we never believed it was ours in the first place. Money is a byproduct of the energy that we put out daily. It starts with us individually. But as Brother Diallo said, our energy is scattered. We're too busy looking for identity through material possession, apparel, appliances, TV, you know, big cars, whatever the case may be, as opposed to trying to build generational wealth from exercising the capacity of our minds and controlling our intellectual property. And that's the essence of my conversation, is dealing with the mind, with the mindset. What you do own, and you own every bit of knowledge, of wisdom, and of understanding that was passed down from your ancestors. It's just that we never looked at that as value. And energy itself yields more energy and will ultimately sustain itself. That's how knowledge is. When you pass that knowledge down from one person to the next, from one child to the next, it's going to get bigger. That knowledge is going to grow. It's going to get vast. And you're going to build those seeds up until they in turn possess that knowledge and sustain it and pass it down for generations to generations for themselves. So more energy equals more power. Can I hear y'all say that? More energy? More energy. More power. More power. And the pun is intended. So, for me, I don't want to get too much into my personal, but I do want to somewhat authenticate myself, because I am that child who was a slow reader. I did go to private school and learn amongst white folks and master them. I went to 5 colleges. None of them was FAMU. I'm not sure what the brother got that from. But I went to spend some time in Ohio Wesleyan. Went on an off-campus exchange program at Morehouse. Was able to take classes at Spelman, Clark. Beautiful experience. And I graduated from Florida State. But my most heightened experience of coming into the knowledge of myself and my own came at FCI Ashland, Clantucky. I say Clantucky, not Kentucky. Clantucky. And that was the highest institution for me. It was a federal prison. Because 9 months after I graduated from college, I went to prison for a conspiracy to rob a bank. Alright? And I got away with it. But I did. Meaning it happened, but I did my time, and that's where the prophet woke me up. I want to bring it to a plain level, a simple level, so you know what you're dealing with, and why I'm sharing this information with you today. Because we can't deal with what we don't have. We got to possess what we do have. And that's the knowledge and wisdom that we are all brought here for, because somehow we all received the call. And a few of us claimed it and accepted that call. Those 5 years brought me back to self. Through college, I took every course I could to learn who I am, who my ancestors are, doubled in communications and African studies. But it wasn't until prison that I experienced the bond, the wisdom, from the belly, to really understand the psychology behind what would propel someone from a 2-parent home, private school upbringing, from a good environment, to do something as stupid as I did. Okay? So I'm saying all that to say is that I'm an information junkie. I consume data like that computer, basically. And I think we all have a spirit of wanting to know. It's just that far too many times we don't know how to sustain what we have and how to transfer it. So I want to share a little bit about my last 12 years and how I managed to, how we all can control our intellectual knowledge, our information that we possess, whether it's in a book, whether it's in a film, whether it's just the little things we write down on those sticky pads and we get that thought process. That information is our wealth. That's the infrastructure that we need moving forward in order to really develop economic security, economic independence, and to be able to transfer that to the next generation. The book that I'm working on is called From Private School to Prison. Y'all can learn more about that in the future. That will be out this summer. From Private School to Prison. I would like for all of you, all the information I look to share is backed up and supported online. So I'm sure we have everyone's email address. You'll have a la carte to any information that you'll hear today, tomorrow. I've been working with Brother Diallo for a long time, so we think alike in terms of what's needed and how we plan. I don't want to get into you worrying about how I'm gonna get more information right now. All of this is technology backed up, right? It's support. But in a nutshell, Jacksonville, for me, over the last 3 or 4 years, it took a process of me really getting grounded. I think just as a business owner coming out of prison, I started my own company called Blacksonville. I know that don't set well with a lot more. I know that don't necessarily set well because we know none of us ain't black, right? Right? We know who we are. But I felt we needed to start with what we do know, or what we think we know. And over the years, that has allowed me to penetrate pretty much, I can't tell you, but I've had 1,000 checks written from 1,000 different companies to Blacksonville. Okay? And that just shows you how powerful it is when we take ownership or when we claim who we are and use that as our basis as opposed to trying to represent something else when folks don't expect us nowhere. Okay? But I'm saying that to say that Blacksonville is a digital media company. We specialize in web development, hosting, content, books, anything related to marketing, promotions, and technology. I can sit you down in the back and we can go through it and you'll be set. And it's all self-learned. Never went to school for a day of technology, so I don't want to hear any excuses. I can't do it. I don't know how to work this. I'm self-taught, autodidactic. You can be too. You just got to claim it. You got to believe it. We are all in hotels. It don't take us as much as it takes them. So I'm saying that to say, over the years I've built up probably about 3 terabytes of data. I'm not sure if you know what a terabyte is, but it's 1,000 megabytes is in a gig. 1,000 gigabytes is in 1 terabyte. So I have about over 3 terabytes of information. I'm not just talking about any information, but information on who and where the black community is, where all the black businesses is in my city. Because each of you have to go back to your city and master your domain. And that's how we able to, you know, build real economic security. Black businesses, where are they? You know, black business owners, where's the money? You know, all of those things, it's a process that you have to go through in order to control, or in order to make it work for you. And the thing that I do is, first thing we have to do is build a database, basically. We have to know the territory that we're in, the environment. And that technology affords us these days. And don't be afraid about, okay, well, if I put in the technology, somebody might steal it, because you control the public side and the private side, which is how we've been controlled. We've been controlled in public, but then we're controlled in private. This city is publicly and privately owned. Meaning there's probably as many individuals as sitting in this room right now that literally owns half of Jacksonville. And we're talking about those families from the beginning, the Fords, the DuPonts, the Gates, all of those royal families that we learn about, the Illuminati who converted slavery into an industrial process, and then the industrial to a philanthropic off the sweat and blood of our ancestors, those that built your Nemours, all of these non-profit organizations, that foundation was built here. Because it's half privately and publicly owned, so that's the way we have to approach our economic security, our intellectual property. A part of it is meant to share with the public, another part is meant to hold it private. And that part we hold in private, we control, we own, and we can sustain and pass down from generation to generation, and it will secure our wealth. How do we do that? Well, how many of you have a trust account? Let me ask you that. Trust. I've been doing a lot of research on trust over the years. And a trust is simple as it sounds. It's about building trust. You know, it's not about you at that point. It's about the future, your beneficiaries, right? How does that tie into what I know, my intellectual capacity? Well, if I can't trace my generation, but to my grandfather, and I don't know my second and third generation, I probably would never really build a trust, because I really don't necessarily know who I am. And that's generally the way we go on as a people. We forget the past. We don't look at the value of what we already have. We try to just build new ground. But the trust is a foundation. After you complete your family history, I really suggest that all of you trace your family as far back as possible, because it's going to give you something invigorating. It's going to encourage your spirit. But once you do that, you're called to leave something for future generations. So one of the things I've done over the years, is last couple of years, I've traced my family history about 3-4 levels deep. My grandfather, named Richmond Walker, was from Dawson, Georgia. All of us migrated, for the most part, to Florida. And my mother, on my mother's side, she actually Seminole Indian. They were already here, but for the most part, that process afforded me the real science of who I am and why I'm here today. And a part of that is understanding that as part of the trust is built on two principles. It's one, education, two, religion, or what we would call spirituality. If you're not living your life for one of those principles, from an educational standpoint, and to share the spirit and the power of God in your everyday life, then you're wasting time. And we can't fake like, we're sovereign and we're national if we don't have a foundation to transfer wealth to the next generation. You get locked up for that. just faking, But I'm saying that to say, and excuse me if I'm a bit scattered, but I'm saying that to say, one of the things, everything I do now is all about capturing and preserving our indigenous culture, and I do it through technology. Okay, Fort Mosaic, you've heard about, the Kingsley Plantation, the Timucua Native Indians here. And I wish we could all go on tour because I'm the type of person, I'm a nature boy. I like to get outside the 4 walls and actually experience it, smell it, see it, taste it. But that exists here, and that's something I had to come into only through the process of going back to my ancestors to know what I can claim right now. And I sealed that debt, gave it back to the government so I can pass it down to future generations. That's all we're talking about. That's all we're talking about. When we can do that individually, when we bring that to the collective power, now we have a foundation to protect and preserve our land. And that's my role in this whole process. All right? Peace and blessings. If you have any questions, I'm open for, anything you need. All right.
You're watching NBTV. TV that cares.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
You're watching NBTV. TV that's fun, entertaining, athletic, educational, and can inspire a world. That's NBTV. TV that cares.
Right here live on NBTV, I'm standing next to none other than Abundance Child at the Summit of the Moors 2013. Let me tell you folks, this has been an absolutely phenomenal summit. Abundance. Let us know here live on NBTV, what do you guys plan to do as we go forward in 2013?
Yeah, we plan on actually taking everything that we did today, implementing it. We have some private side stuff that's not being aired that we're having discussions, and what we're going to do is we're going to take all the information that we got from this actual summit and we're going to start applying it, and we're going to actually do an update in August.
Also, I heard one of the, of course, leaders of the Moors mention that this particular summit is geared to enhance the economic position within the Moors Empire. How will, of course, the leaders within the Moors begin to make that particular initiative become a reality?
They're going to make it become a reality by actually enacting all of the stuff that we talked about today. Basically, eco-sustainability as far as food is concerned. Gold and silver, we had some gold and silver initiatives. We're about not dealing with other people's property. And if we do deal with other people's property, making sure that we have some offshore accounts where things that are backed by silver and gold. So we have an investment plan that the people who are here today are actually going to be really committed to, so that we can start, building the empire factually.
Of course, we all know here on NBTV, Brother Sekou Diallo was responsible in the spearhead of this particular initiative as it relates to the 2013 Summit of the Moors. How do you feel about what that brother is doing as it relates to impacting the community?
I think what he's doing is really good because he's outside of the boundaries. He's not just dealing with Moors. He didn't say this was the Washita Moors, the MSTA Moors. He reached out to everyone. He didn't get negative for anybody that didn't come. He welcomed everybody that came, and he made sure that they had a platform. That's what we need right now. We need an ambassador like diallo-sekou.
And there it is, folks, right here live on NBTV.
Please don't let this picture to the left fool you. Thomas Jefferson was a mulatto. His father was a mulatto, mixed, and then also his mother was a Native American squaw. So y'all know how they whitewash everything. But I come to this piece because I wanted to give his quote. If the American people ever allow the banks to control the issuance of their currency, first by inflation and then by deflation, the bank and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all their property. And to their children, wake up homeless on the continent that their forefathers stole from them. Read my Divine Hate's book, he goes into that. Y'all send us a few.
All right.
I'm telling you, y'all have to send us some things because also, whatever is going wrong, but you know, the beautiful thing is that we're all here together and we're making it happen. We moved from my computer to hers. And I just love the oneness. Now, October of 1907, several banking firms started with the Knickerbocker Trust Company of New York. Collapsed as depositors withdrew funds for fear of unwise investments, which they do very often, and the misuse of money. Lines of people waited in front of the Knickerbockers to close their accounts. Days later, the Trust Company of America had droves of depositors removing their money. Then shortly thereafter, a run took place at the Lincoln Trust Company across the country. Apprehension that the panic would continue to spread occurred. In the fall of 1907, the United States was in a regression, and the following are the major players in the establishment of this Federal Reserve Bank. This is Paul Walberg with his ugly self, and Senator Nelson Aldrich, Frank Vanderlip, and Benjamin Strong. And as you can see, their skin is not going to sustain the global warming and different things like that. So this is also where they was at in Jekyll Island. And here's the last two. Using this information as a basis, in November of 1910, while meeting under the roof of duck shooting excursions, the financial experts were in reality hunting for a way to reconstruct America's banking system and eliminate the possibilities of future economic panic. The hunters were major players in American mercantilism. Senator Nelson Aldrich, who had headed up the National Monetary Commission, a congressional committee dedicated to developing ideas for central banking, Frank Vanderlip, of Rockefeller's National City Bank, the pictures were above, Paul Warburg of the investment firm of Kuhn, Loewen and Company, who were there to promote the German Central Bank of Bismarck, Charles Norton of the First National Bank of New York, a Morgan Company, and Davidson, a partner of J.P. Morgan. From the start, the group proceeded covertly. In 1916 BC, Forbes discussed the Jekyll Conference in his book, Men Who Are Making America, and illuminated. To this day, these financiers are Frank and Harry and Paul and Piazza. To one another, and the late senator remains Nelson to them until his death. Later, following the Jekyll Conference, Benjamin Strong Jr., a magazine article by Forbes, is the only public mention to the conference until around 1930, when Paul Warburg's book, The Federal Reserve System, Origin and Growth, and Nathaniel Wright Stephan's book, Nelson W. Aldrich, A Leader in American Politics, were published. Now, plainly and simply, the Federal Reserve is not part of the federal government. The Federal Reserve is not federal, and it does not have any reserves. In fact, it's no more federal than FedEx. We've all heard that. It is privately held corporation owned by stockholders. This is why the Federal Reserve Bank of New York and all the others is listed in the Dun & Bradstreet Reference Book of American Business. Northeast Region 1, Manhattan, Bronx. According to Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution, only Congress has the right to issue money and regulate its value. So it is legal for private interests to do so as well. Yet, it happened, and because of the provision in the Act, the Class A stockholders were to be kept a secret and not to be revealed. McMaster, who published a newsletter called The Reaper through his Swiss and Saudi Arabian contacts, was able to find out which banks held a controlling interest in the reserve. Now, this interest controlled the Federal Reserve through about 300 stockholders, and the real owners of the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve System are these as listed. Now, of the reported 2,353 shares of New York banks, they each hold several. Rockefeller's National City Bank holds 30,000 shares. Morgan's First National Bank had 15,000 shares. Chase National Bank has 6,000 shares. National Bank of Commerce Mortgage Guarantee Trust has 21,000 shares. A June 15, 1978 Senate report called Interlocking Dignitaries Among the Major U.S. Corporations revealing that the 5 New York banks had 470 interlocking dignitaries with 130 major U.S. corporations. So So as you can see, they took care of themselves, their children's children's children. Which is why I'm so glad that we're coming together today to do the same thing. Secrets of the Temple is also a wonderful resource too to look into. Now, according to Stu Mullins, these banks are major stockholders in the Fed. In this book, World Order, he said that these 5 banks are controlled from London. Mullins said that besides its controlling interest in the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the Rothschilds had developed important financial interests in other parts of the United States, and the entire Rockefeller empire was financed by the Rothschilds. Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes his laws. And here's him and John D. Rockefeller, skeletal. Now, gold and silver, face it, the country is growing. Precious Metals Investing for Dummies. This is a really, really good book too, also to attend. Now, you need American Eagle gold and silver coins. Learn how to generate a cash income while you acquire U.S. gold and silver Eagle bullion coin at 40 cents on the dollar. Here is why you should look to gold and silver. Now, did you know that since 1960, the U.S. dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power? Inflation is destroying your finances. If you made $30,000 last year in 5 short years, you have to be earning $50,000 per year just to have the same purchasing power that you have today. What about 20 years from now? Did you know to have a property level retirement income of $11.50 per month, you would have to have $250,000 in the bank, earning $5,000 in interest? Do you have $250,000 in the bank? A lot of us don't. And where are banks paying 5% interest here in the United States of America? Well, in I-bond they are.
Where?
In the International Bank of Mikamui. As a matter of fact, it's off the coast of New Guinea, and golly, there's so much to say about them. They're indigenous, they're darker than me. They have the same type of fight that we fought. They went to the United Nations, and they were like, I'm sorry, we can't help you. Because they made an arrangement with the British colonists, and they were like, y'all have a lot of gold, copper, silver, diamonds under your land. Let us come and help you, and we will give you a percentage. International Bank of Mikamui. Let us come and dig these things up and give you a percentage of your resources. So of course they went for the okey-doke like we did. And then once they saw how brutal-minded these people were, they decided that it was time for them to fight. They were polluting the land. They sent, picture a plush island. And in the middle of it is the Grand Canyon. Going down, like just nothing can grow, everything was gone. They went as deep as they could and took what they could. They had copper mines, they took it, but they didn't take all of it. They can't, it's so fertile. But anyway, nonetheless, they wanted them to stop after they saw the energy these people was coming with. So they went to the United Nations said, I'm sorry, we cannot help you. So then the next year, they endured it, they fought it, because they would be passed down the land through the lineage of the women. So the women would stand out, praying, meditating, and fighting against the destruction of their land.
You're watching MBTV. TV that cares.
I'd like to say again, manufacturing is a move toward nationhood, toward the restoration of self-reliance and the management of nations and the maintenance of nations. I'm not just talking about the physical nation. I'm talking about the nation frame of mind that is portable, that you can take with you wherever you go. You've got to either have the nation or the nation frame of mind in order to be whole and secure and not forever dependent on other people to maintain you.
irrigation, but they also have created a banking system for us. And this is what I'm so excited about. I'm just going to jump into it.
How do you spell it?
It stands for International Bank of Mikamui. MEEKAUI. And we have been doing business now with them online. I'm going to say, because we have a wealth building team. And we've been doing business with them for about 6 months. So that's why I'm so grateful to bring it to y'all today. And every month, they give you 3% interest if you choose the lodging account. Or they give you 5% interest if you choose the personal account. And if you have large sums of money that you don't want to be taxed and you want to be offshore and off the grid, then you can also put it in accounts that are 20% and 25% monthly occurring interest. The only thing is it has to be there for 12 months. Yes, God?
Question. What happens when the dollar loses all its value? What's going to substitute that currency?
You talking about the Bavarian Kina?
No, I'm talking about the dollar bill.
When that happens, it's going to be all hell breaking loose.
What about euro?
Let me see. Well, they have created the Ameridollar, which we have a couple of those, and you can get that from dc-coins.com. But honestly, nobody really knows what's going to happen. That's why we're preparing now. We know that we need to be growing our own food, you know, that type of thing.
We also have this new information that I got from a friend of mine that he went over to Saudi Arabia back in the 80s. He was in the military. And he said a bunch of the business owners came over with suitcases and suitcases of money to buy their currency. And when the currency revalued, these guys were off the Richter scale as far as money income. Also the dong is also a commodity that the bank Fifth Third is selling, but they're not advertising it. And they're saying that it's not considered as money of interest where you could make money with the money once the money revalued. Now, if that's the case, then why are you selling it?
Well, that's what the countries have. That's what they've done for years.
They're lying.
Have done this for years.
Right, they're lying.
As a matter of fact, the Vietnam Dong is like, you can get $1 million of the Vietnam Dong for $150.
Exactly.
Oh, it's cheap. 98.
98. Yes, no, $2 million.
$36 per half million.
Oh wow.
Yeah, $2 million. $2 million for $138 right now from Fifth Third Bank. And the lady told me, she said, well, why would anyone buy this money? I said, well, if the money didn't have any type of purpose, why are you guys selling it?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Because it's wholesale. We have always been retailers. Yeah. But wholesale, we have to start thinking like that too. They're selling money, been selling money, God.
They're selling.
Yes, they sell money on the stock market every day. Monday through Friday they sell money. They call them currency pairs. The United States versus the Canadian dollar. They constantly are selling money. Yes, God?
Are y'all familiar with the dinar?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the dinar is supposed to be revaluing. Right. We'll see.
So what are your case? So what are your case on that?
I don't know, God. I know that it's paper.
The United States Treasury Department is buying 50 million dinars a month.
Yeah.
They're not buying for nothing.
Exactly.
You're right about that.
If you got any money, you better buy you some dinars.
And they said Bill Gates has a plane full of them.
Yeah. So what is your take on that, sister?
On dinar?
Yeah.
I think we need to be doing all sorts of stuff. I'm so glad we're talking about money. You didn't hear me say that earlier? I am so glad we finally discussing this topic. It should have been in the forefront.
Now, I was told that 2 phases is going to happen with the dinar. The first phase is going to come at a low, like maybe 50 cents. And then the next phase is cashing all that when it revalues at the low. And then it comes back again at the high. And that's what I was told.
Yeah, they're talking about it revaluing at $8, $3.50. You can get like 100,000 dinars for $100.
Yeah.
And you can get that off of eBay, y'all. This is right at the fingertips.
No, not just eBay.
Not eBay.
It's called Dinar UK.
Okay, well, Safe Dinar.
Dinar UK.
Okay.
Buy a little dinar. GID association.
No, stay away from GID. Stay away. The reason why I stay away from GID because GID, they took my money and took the first time that I ordered it, they took the money and sent it right to me. The next time I ordered, they stalled me out for almost 2 weeks, saying that they didn't have my money. I had to run back and forth to the bank. I used the same information, the same time, the same process. And they jerked me around several times. And someone else that I sent there, they did the same thing to them. They sent them their first batch, and then every batch after that, they called pure hell, excuse me.
Use the NAR ink. Use the NAR ink.
And so that's why I mess with GID.
DINAR. The NAR ink.
Okay.
The NAR ink.
Yeah, I usually go through July UK.
Buy a little dinar.
Yeah.
You can get it from either one of those.
Now, I have a question for both of y'all. Are those currencies of substance? Because I mean, if you set fire to that stuff, it's going whoosh. Is it of substance? Just like the US dollar. Is it of substance? It's not backed by gold,
Let me just
silver.
tell you this. When Clinton got out of office, we had a surplus.
True.
$500-600 billion, $1 trillion, not trillion, $1 billion surplus. He got the surplus. Nobody could explain why. Let me tell you why. The Kuwait dinar revalued. The Treasury Department cashed in and they put the country out of deficit into a surplus. But they never told you how.
That's right.
And your former President Bush found out how it happened.
That's right.
That's why he went to war with Iraq. So he could value their currency.
That's right.
And revalue it and bring the country back out of deficit. So if you know anything about economics, you better get you something to know. Because it's going to happen pretty soon. Get you something to know.
Now,
Only thing is, now I've been here for 10 long years. The dinar is going to revalue. Let me tell you something. This is how they think. We done got our hands on it. There's too many laymen that got their hands on it. Do you think they want you to be a billionaire?
This is a worldwide refinancing that's going on.
Do you think they want you to be a billionaire?
They're not concerned about the United States.
What they're trying to do is
concerned about the world, global economy. This is what this is about. It's global economy. It's a global reset. It's getting ready to happen. It's not just America. If it was just America, it would be something I could say, yeah, I give some credence to not letting these peasants have it. But this is a global reset. All the global economies will be redone.
Did you know that it's already revalued? But the United States is holding it back because too many laymen have gotten hold of the money. Did you know that? And they're also, what they're trying to do is they're trying to take 35% tax on each dollar.
But they're not going to be able to tax it because it's not a taxable gain event. It's a currency exchange.
Yeah, they can't.
You know that? They're not supposed to tax our wages, but they do.
Turn around.
I want to remind everyone when someone is giving a presentation, if you can please use your index cards in the loose leaf paper that's in there so that we can actually have a complete and thorough bill tomorrow based off all the additions. And if you're just coming in the manila folder that everybody received, anything that you wanted to add on, for example, if she has a bill that's talking about finance and you have some resources that we need to know about, you too, brother, from Washington, Brother Michael, anything that we need to know, we need to discuss, we need to have it on those index cards so that we can compile it for everybody's on the email list and we can actually stop talking and actually do stuff about it.
Yeah, it's key. Because I can't use my computer, because I have a Mac, I was trying to pull up on Abundance' computer, which she so gracefully let me use, proof of our online account and proof that now we receive 5% monthly, but you just have to believe me, because you just have to believe me.
We just talked about that. Word is bond. We dealing with the trust now.
Yeah.
I had heard that you have to have a certain amount to open up an IBOM account.
Great, brother. I'm so glad you asked that question. If you are part of the Financial Hope or ICC members, you only need 2 ICC members. I could be one of them, and we also have 8 others on the team too. That could be another one. And you can only pay $450. And then immediately when you do that, either through PayPal, Liberty Reserve, bank wire transfer, or one more, then you'll have $1,800 in your account, 1,800 BBK in your account. And this is gold-backed currency. Okay, yeah.
Can you repeat that, please?
If you have an ICC member, 2 ICC members, then you only have to pay $450 to open up this account. And immediately,
Bring it all the way.
sorry, guys. Incredible concept. Basically, it's an assistance with IBOM where they're helping get information out. And IBOM respects that. These are some beautiful people. Even when you get emails from them, they even gave us a trust December the 31st for the winter solstice as a gift. Now usually people have to pay $5,500 for this trust. And this is so that you can beneficiary your account down to your next generation. Now the most money that you can make in these accounts and receive interest is $4 trillion. So once you get to $4 trillion, then you can't receive interest. Okay. Thank you. But this is a wonderful opportunity, and I do implore everyone to be a part of it.
So are you encouraging the movement to be a part of some individual relationship?
You can do both. I think that we're stronger together, but also, separately is fine too. It's no egos involved. We're humble. Whatever you choose to do.
Okay, well, why don't you right now just give us 3 steps, because you mentioned as you were going along, but I think it was so important. The only thing I want to do, you don't have to go back towards like Shannon was just saying.
Matter of fact, y'all can do this.
Where to go to get the account, how we need to
You can go to my website. It's draleenlbank.com. You can be sponsored in. If you're not sponsored in, then it's $1,500. But remember, that's times 4. You're going to get times 4 deposited into your account. But if you have somebody just to put 2 people's names and their ICC numbers on your account on your application, then it's $450. And we're here. We're available. We're not charging nothing extra to do it. Yes, God?
Yeah, I really love that plan, but I want to know who is maintaining the assets by your assets and sales and trust.
David King Pye, and then also the BT. Let me see, the BT Company Trust, which stands for Bougainville Trust Company.
What's his way around the Dodd-Frank Act?
Say again, God?
What's his way around the Dodd-Frank Act?
The Frank, isn't that the French money?
No, the Dodd-Frank Act. The one that policy of law signed into place. Because what happened is that deals with offshore investments.
Okay.
And what they're trying to do is they're trying to lock domestic citizens in to where you can't have your assets offshore. And if you bring it back on shore, that's where the taxable income comes in at. That's what the brother was talking about, is gambling.
God, that's something I have to add on to because we just got this gift.
Because you're dealing in commodities.
True.
You're not dealing in.
But God, we put ours underneath of religious body politics, which is non-taxable. As a matter of fact, we also put our land and our cars, our private land transports, in this same thing.
Right.
And since we're going to talk about this real quick,
Can you put it under your trust and do it that way?
I noticed that when we do it the way that we do it, when we get pulled over, they're like, "Oh, you're ministers?" Yes, we're ministers. There's a whole level of respect.
Use your trust and put it in.
Yeah, whatever works for you. Because the beautiful thing is knowledge is infinite. Right. So whatever works for you, God, I think that's powerful. But don't have it in your name.
You're watching NBTV. TV that cares.
Everyone in the world has gone to bed one night or another with fear or pain or loss or disappointment. And yet each of us has awakened, arisen, somehow made our ablution, seen other human beings, and said, "Morning, how are you? Fine, thanks, and you?" It's amazing. Wherever that abides in the human being, there is the nobleness of the human spirit. Despite it all, black and white, Asian, Spanish, Native American, pretty, plain, thin, fat, vowed or celibate, we rise.
want to say Islam to everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. However you want to read. I want to first start off with a prayer. Just a small, short prayer that came from our prophet. And I just want to recite it. It says, to the creator of your understanding, but we call him Allah. Islam, Father God, Allah. Islam, Father God, Allah. I ask thee to bind our hearts and minds together as thy did in ancient times. This I ask of Allah. Amen. I'm going to talk today about nationality and nationhood. We've heard a lot of people talk about economic security, and that's all what we do need. But without a nation, you cannot have economic security. We're building other nations, and we must build our nation. And before I get to go into what I'm about to say, I'm going to introduce myself. I am Grand Chief Surya Bay, and for those who want cards, also they'll be available for you. And right now, we have the Moorish Science Temple of America Divided National Movement, and we have an 800 number in the Regency headquarters. And the officers in that are on this card. And on the back of this card is the Regency headquarters and an 800 number in which you can reach the national Regency headquarters. When I say national, that's exactly what I mean. It's on national headquarters. Also, this Moorish Summit, we all came together, and it was not no finance generated to do this. Everyone came on their will, which means everybody has a vast interest in what we're doing today. Everybody, just like when the prophet came and made the call, from those who heard the call, you heard the call that something is wrong and we need to do something about it. So I don't know if the brother has a hat, a basket, or whatever you may have, to start passing around in those almanac floats, and let's collect some money to help finance this Moorish Summit here, because this is about your future, our children's future. So we need to give what we can. All right, because this brother did this on his own accord, and all of us that traveled here came on our own accord. But we need to show that we are really about uplifting of our people. So we need to go ahead and start passing that around. And I don't want to hear the money that jingles, but I want the one that sounds like good. You know they're Federal Reserve notes, but they're notes that we need right now to build our nation. Islam. I want to start off by, and I'm going to ask people to be quiet as I do. I run a Sunday school every Sunday from 1 to 3, and tomorrow it'll be here at the summit that wants to come. I'm going to ask you, if you have a sidebar conversation, or if you're not interested, please step aside or whatever, because what I'm about to say, I want to be heard. Because a vast of people cannot obtain the highest if they do not listen to the information.
Indeed.
All right. First, I want to come, and I want to say, we're talking about nationality, religion, and birthrights. And all of this stuff begins with the nation. I'm going to come from those who may not know that we had an illustrious prophet who came here, and his name is Noble Ali. And he came here, and he told us that we were not Negroes, black, colored, coons, shines, jigaboos, and many of those now we got Afro-American, African-American, Bimelian, whatever people choose to call themselves today. Then we come from an origin, which is Asiatic, and we have a free national name, which is Moorish American. Now when I give out information, I tell you to research it for yourself. Not being a Barak or a Rabel, for those of us who do not know who he is, he was a brother that Jesus walked and talked with, and he told you, he was running around telling everybody all this information that he had. And Jesus asked him, how do you know of this? And he said, the priest had told you so. And Jesus told him, then thus you do not know, you simply guess. Islam. So whatever you hear here today, you take this back, this information, and you research for your own. All right? I want to come from
This is a plea that the prophet put out to a nation, which is our nation. He said, our divine national movement stands for the specific grand principles of truth, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And I, the prophet, am applying to all loyal, faithful Moors, members, and American citizens to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity among the Asiatic race nations, for I have suffered much severely in the past through misunderstanding of what the movement was dedicated to. It is the great God of law alone that leads the guide the basis of the divine and national movement. I know all true American citizens identified by national decent names to answer and apply to free national constitution of their free national republic of the United States of America. That is why I am calling on all true citizens to help me morally and financially in my great work. I am joined to help this nation, this government. For without a free national name, without a decent flag of your forefathers, there is not a nation divine title on this government in which we live. This is form and true divine prophet on all American and foreign sympathizers. And what he put out was a plea to the nations, because if we have other nations helping us, why not us? We're the only nation of people on earth that we cannot claim anything that we have of our own. When we see others coming over here, not speaking radical against any members of any organized group, because that's not what we do, but they come over here, for instance, how many of you have said, these Asian people came over here and they got all the nail salons, regardless of whatever nail salons they have. They come over here and if you open up one, they look like you're crazy. They have the stores that we use hair products for ourselves, they sell it. How do they know what our hair is like when their hair texture is nothing like ours? They're coming here and they're building businesses right here, but we need to be building businesses for ourselves. And one of our biggest economic problems is that we do not do trade and commerce with one another. If you know a sister or a brother that has a store and they're selling products, why not go to your brother and sister to purchase those products? Why do you go to someplace else? And we all have to admit that we do that. If I make my clothing, I may not have Jordache jeans, but I have Queen Bee jeans. Well, are my jeans not as good as those Jordache jeans? So why not buy jeans from your sister? In order to build a nation, we have to think about economic security and what our future holds. And we will not have a future here if we do not start building ourselves with economic security. We have to help each other. If I'm selling books, purchase a book. If I'm selling t-shirts, purchase a t-shirt. Assist us in helping to build a better world. That's exactly what we need to do. Now, how many of you out there have your own businesses by hand raising? Just raise your hand. Today, how many of you bought cards to promote your businesses? So if you don't hand me a card before I leave today, how do I know you have a business? So find a piece of paper and start writing down what your business is and how we can get in touch with you. Because in order to do so, we must be able to contact you in order to do so. A beggar people cannot obtain the highest income. We have to do this for ourselves. All right? So we need to help each other. The prophet said we were going to need each other. But he said, after a while, we're going to need each other after a while, more now after a while. We need each other to build our nation. When we leave here today, this is not just about talking loud and saying nothing. This is about talking and doing. It is nation building time. I don't care what house you come from. If you're more science, more holy, from the Central Mosque here, from this organization there, to the Washington, I don't care what organization you state you're from. We are one people, bear one free national name. And we must come together and put our differences aside. And I'll give you examples. When something happens with Puerto Ricans, and someone hurts a Puerto Rican, who do you see show up for that Puerto Rican? Or other Puerto Ricans. And they will want give you a small example because of time. I'm from originally Camden, New Jersey. And when I lived in Camden, New Jersey, when that Puerto Rican was killed, the Puerto Rican society there told them that they were going to destroy the city of Camden, New Jersey, if they found those police officers innocent of that crime. They challenged them and they found them innocent. And you know what happened to Camden, New Jersey? They tore it apart. It has never risen up against, and you don't have to believe me, look it up online. All right, they told them if you find them innocent of that crime, what they were going to do. You know why? Because they wasn't scared. A lot of us are scared to take a stand because we all have material things and material wealth, so we're afraid to lose those things, so we don't take a stand. So how long are we going to allow this man to keep telling us how we can do things? Who are you to tell me how to run my own nation? In other words, we have to hear the call. We have to know that we are a nation of people, standing under one flag, just bearing one free national name. I want to come, it's just so important, the things that we have. I brought the brother's book. And some of you probably don't have literature here today or whatever. But I'm going to go down to actually where he was on page 20, and some of us probably didn't hear him. In connection with religious aims and beliefs, we must promote economic security. The preaching of economic security among us is by no means as widespread and intense as in the circumstances demand. No one thing is more needed among us at this time than greater economic power, better positions for our women, our men and women, more business employees for our boys and girls, and bigger incomes will follow our economic security. How can we have economic security if we don't know who we are? And this is where I'm going to get into the Negro, black, colored, cool, shine, jigaboo. You are not Negroes, you're not black, you're not African American, you're not cool, shine, jigaboo. Black denotes anything that's degrading or dead. And let me give you an example of that. When one dies, what do people put on? When you have a movie or a cartoon, the bad guy wears what? So where's the good in black? The word colored means anything that has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. I don't know about you, but I know all the bleaching in the world they did with Michael Jackson, you can still see that this complexion will not change. I may get darker with the sun, but this complexion does not change. Cool, shine, jigaboo, all derogatory names. Negro is a Latin term for the word nigger or Niger, for a river that runs through Africa by the Moors, contains black water, dead water, death. We have to realize that we have national names, which are Bay, Ali, and Il. The prophet that we speak about came from the shores in 1912 and made a proclamation. In 1913, he set up the first Canaanite temple, and he made a call. He said, "Come all ye Asiatics of America." Now something had to click in the head because he didn't say come Negro, black, and colored. He said, "Come ye all Asiatics of America and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights. Because you're not Negroes, colored folks, black people, Ethiopians, African Americans, you're not cool shots of jiggers." He said, "Come here." And that's what he told us. And then once he got the call, then he made a proclamation to each person and what you must do to proclaim your name. So in order to know who you are first, you have to establish who you are in order to build a better world. Understand who you are. What good is that in black? What good is that in African American? You can't be two continents, African American. But over in Nigeria, if a person comes over here, he's known as a Nigerian American. If a Puerto Rican comes over here, or Italian, or Greeks, or Turks, they're known as that American. I challenge some of you to go home, and you may have the same birth mother and father, or maybe a different father, or whatever, but pull out those birth records that we shouldn't have, But pull them out anyway and challenge your brothers and sisters and look and see how many different things the different birth certificates have. The fact that our parents didn't know any better. So we're on birth records. Somebody's going to be colored, somebody's going to be black, somebody's going to be Negro. But you all came from one womb, one canal, one seed. Because mother cultivates the seed. So she knows what the child is. I challenge you today to go look at that. And take a second look at yourself. So we are talking about nation building, but we cannot build a nation until we first recognize who we are as a nation of people. One common goal, one common ground, and put our differences to the side. We're all not going to agree because we all have different portions of understanding. The gifts of understanding are the treasures of Allah. And he appointed to every one of you all his portion and what measure seemeth good unto himself. But he states, you know, that the wise man doubteth often and changes his mind. So a wise man will doubt. But he asks you a question in order to understand. He asks you, do you have that gift? And if you do, you are supposed to what? Communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction and to the wise for thy own improvement. That means no matter how much information I think I know, I can continue to what? To learn. We learn from the cradle to the grave. But if we do not get it together and find out and take this thing off of us, because this is what's holding us back, chattel property. If you continue to hold on to this man's name, you're a chattel property.